Fever 1793 test. Number 1. When Maddie said the French doctors came from the West Indies, where they treat yellow fever every year, she was trying to persuade Eliza not to A. Take the children to Bush Hill, B. Call someone to bleed the children, C. Make the children drink vinegar, D. Place a poultice on the children's chests. Number 2. When Maddie saw the mouse on Mother's best quilt, she thought of how Mother abhorred mice. Which word is a synonym for abhorred? A. Appreciated, B. Killed, C. Feared, D. Hated. Number 3. Most readers probably felt a sense of relief when Maddie A. Used her petticoat to try to catch a fish, B. Took Nell to the orphan house, C. Woke up and saw the frost in the garden, D. Heard footsteps by the window of the coffee house. Number 4. Why did Maddie decide to reopen the coffee house when some people advised against it? A. She wanted to have a place where the veterans who were grandfather's friends could gather. B. The money it would bring in would help her to provide an education for Nell, who was now Maddie's responsibility. C. She hoped to impress the Ogilvies, with whom she was still angry for their behavior at the tea she and Mother had attended. D. The difficulties she had survived helped her realize that she was strong and able to do anything she put her mind to. Number 5. At the beginning of the story, Maddie enjoyed sleeping late and avoided hard work. Later in the story, she insisted on staying with Eliza to help the sick. What can the reader conclude about Maddie? She would do almost anything to avoid her responsibilities at home. B. She wanted to become a doctor. C. She had become more grown up and responsible. D. She had finally realized it was time for her to find a husband. Number 6. How was Pernilla Ogilvie unlike Maddie's mother? A. She was wealthy and dressed in fine clothing. B. She worked hard and was serious. C. She showed concern for the sick people in the city. D. She liked to stay at home and keep to herself. Number 7. How did Maddie feel when Mother tried to discuss Mrs. Ogilvie's sons with Mrs. Ogilvie? A. Shy and humble. B. Proud and happy. C. Bored and uninterested. D. Angry and embarrassed. Number 8. Which of the following happened first in the story? A. Dr. Kerb led Mother to try to cure her fever. B. Nathaniel tossed daisies from his window as Maddie, Eliza, and Nell walked by. C. Grandfather died after he was attacked by one of the thieves. D. Maddie found out that Polly, the serving girl, had died. Number 9. How did Mother and Maddie prepare for the afternoon tea at the Ogilvies? A. Eliza and Mother tightened, pinned, and locked Maddie into her clothes. B. They closed the coffee house early so Eliza could curl their hair. C. Mother hired a lovely carriage so she and Maddie could ride to tea in style. D. They memorized a French poem so they could impress the Ogilvies. Number 10. In Fever 1793, readers learn about a time in history when there was little understanding of the causes of disease, soldiers returning from war struggled to make a living, C. Foreign powers fought to control large parts of a new country. D. Reporters and newspapers were restricted by the government. Number 11. In what city did the story take place? A. Boston. B. Charleston. C. Philadelphia. D. Baltimore. Number 12. Which of these happened at the climax or turning point of the story? A. Polly, a serving girl and Maddie's friend, collapsed and died suddenly. B. Maddie watched a man transporting an ill woman in a cart and realized the woman was her mother. C. After returning to the city, grandfather and Matilda struggle with burglars and grandfather dies. D. An exhausted Maddie fell asleep and awoke to discover the first frost of the season. Number 13. A simile is a figure of speech that uses the words like or as to compare two unlike things. Which of the following is a simile? A. I felt like a noodle overboiled in the stew pot. B. I held the tray over my head as I squeezed past the crowded table. I held the tray over my head as I squeezed past the crowded table. C. As I returned to the well, Mother came through the garden gate. D. But I don't like having the mattresses on the floor. Number 14. Which of these is a fact rather than an opinion about Maddie? A. She looked like a china doll. B. She was much too fine to be working in the coffee house. C. She was strong, beautiful, and clever. D. She was 14 and would be 15 in December. Number 15. What is a one-sentence summary of Fever 1793? A. A former soldier and his granddaughter are turned away as they try to leave the city and travel to the country. B. A free black woman becomes the business partner of a young girl. C. A coffee house is shut down after the owner becomes ill with yellow fever. D. A young girl must learn to survive when disease breaks out in her city. Number 16. What genre or type of literature is Fever 1793? A. Fantasy, a story with strange or imaginary creatures that could not be real. B. Historical fiction, a made-up story about real historical events. C. Biography, the story of a real person's life written by another person. D. Autobiography, the story of a real person's life written by that person. Number 17. A doctor turned Maddie and grandfather away before they reached the Ludington's farm in Gwynedd. During the events that took place afterward, Maddie could be described as A. Brave. B. Lazy. C. Mean. D. Carefree. Number 18. Which of these led to Maddie recovering in the hospital at Bush Hill? A. The almshouse was closed to protect the residents from the fever. B. Mother Smith advised Maddie to take Nell to the orphan house and hand her over. C. Thieves broke into the coffee house and made away with all the food and valuables. D. A doctor at Pembroke refused to allow grandfather to continue on the journey. Number 19. When Mother was sick in bed, why did she want Maddie to leave the room? A. She was afraid Maddie would become ill. B. Maddie kept talking and Mother couldn't sleep. C. She was embarrassed that Maddie was seeing her in her shift. D. Eliza needed help running the coffee house. Short answer responses. Give at least 3 sentences for each response. Use a separate sheet of paper to write your response. Number 20. Why is the color yellow symbolic for this novel? How is it related to both negative and positive aspects? 21. When does Maddie move from being a child to being a young adult? Use what events do you think was the cause of her change and why? And how does she demonstrate she is an adult by the end of the novel? This will help you in your answer. 22. Yellow fever was wrestling the life out of Philadelphia. Finish this sentence stem and write an explanation to explain the literary device. What literary technique does the author use in this quote? Please explain that. And how does this literary technique help you understand the story better?